Clocking game, knows his play old. Off the pin, she plays, he takes slow. She's seeing through the tricks he throws. It's like a maze she's played, now she knows. Schemes on every angle. Schemes on every angle. Schemes on every angle. Wishing for truth, not just a fable.
I know a woman who's too generous. I know a woman who's too generous.
Hello everyone, this is Angela and welcome to my channel, Angie the ENTJ. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and click on the notifications bell so that you'll know whenever I upload any new content. I got a question for you all. It's a question that I asked on one of Supreme's lives with the West 4B movement, with a young lady that was describing her journey at the time. So I have that same question for you all. How many times has a pick-me, and just to be clear, a pick-me is a woman who enables patriarchy. How many times has she come behind her husband's back to beg you for money? And how many times have you helped out on the basis of your conscience? Even though you don't agree with the pick-me's lifestyle and her political stance, and you know that her husband ain't ish, but there's a part of you based on your conscience. You still help out. Many of the people who are a part of my audience have been in this place before. You know, you've sacrificed, you've delayed gratification, you've clipped your coupons, you shop at price clubs, you chase sales all over town, and you try to buy things when there is a special or when it will be deeply discounted or even discontinued. Why? Because you're saving your money as best as you can. You probably have all kinds of apps on your phone, ranging from grocery stores to convenience stores, to save up, their little points or bonus bucks or whatever they may be called. Many grocery stores even offer discounts on fuel if you shop there enough. You do all of this, and it just seems like right when it's time for you to enjoy the fruit of your labor, here comes a call. It's from your pick-me relative. They are in a crisis, and you are their last hope. Without you, they will be evicted, or they will go without electricity, or the water will be shut off, or they won't have any groceries, or they won't be able to put any gas in their vehicle, or their vehicle is broken down and they need your generous help to get it fixed. Yes, your pick-me relative is calling. But I said they. Who is they? Because in this instance, that's implying that there's more than one person, right? See, it's usually her and her kids. But the kids are not the they that I'm talking about. See, the they is the pick-me and her Dusty Daquan, her Pookie, who's nearby. But despite all of that, and the fact that you even may be a single parent, a single mother especially, you got your own issues that nobody is helping you with. You're just sorting it out. You still have a heart. Or perhaps, and this is especially true if you're child-free, they seem to think that because you're child-free that you don't have expenses. So you have spare money, right? And you have a conscience, so you want to be able to sleep at night. And it would, deep down inside, bother you that the amount of money that you would normally use to get your nails done is also the amount of money that they need in order to keep their electricity on, right? And you see that she has children, and for their innocent little sakes, you rescue the pick-me and her family from impending doom, using the money that you were disciplined about accumulating. Or some of us have broken our salon routine and skipped a week, or did some type of lifestyle shrinkage just to have the funds available. Some of us have used our emergency credit cards and maxed them out, taken a hit to our credit report in the process, with the plans of slowly paying it back. A credit card that was intended for you and your own expenses, especially emergency expenses, right? However, this is what I see. These same people are using the electricity that you help them to keep flowing to power up their cell phones so that they can get an internet signal in order to get onto social media and talk cash money-ish about you. Yes, you. You generous, good conscience having, going without what you can afford to help them to survive, you. They talk about you being too modern, or no, being modern and then too independent. You're not traditional, and ooh, you're bougie, you're high strung and sedity. And for those who don't know the meaning of sedity, it's basically someone who's being a snob. They have a problem with you being pro choice, being a feminist, and the fact that you're financially independent and can afford to take vacations. You know, all they ever talk about is hair, weave, makeup, hair, weave, and makeup, in my little pretty black magic voice. Uh huh. However, they fail to mention those feelings to you when they're calling and begging you to use your resources to stop a crisis for them, especially when you're handing them the money. They don't mention that to you when you're taking that cash, those Benjamins, from your purse and dumping them into your hand. They don't tell you how they feel about you right then and there. How they truly feel. And listen, that goes for your begging male relatives too, that recklessly pump and dump one pick-me after the other and created a crisis using his crouch. Listen, this video is for you too. You see, part of the reason why I use the moon as an avatar on my channel is because it behaves like some situations in life. Sometimes you see it, sometimes you don't. However, it's still in the sky. Just because it's not shining doesn't mean that it's not there. And this is one of those situations. Listen, you are being pimped by proxy. Yes, I said it. It is one of the features of toxic patriarchy. See, just like I can go anywhere on the earth or even within the universe and know that 1 + 1 will always equal 2. Okay? In a similar sense, I need you to think deeply. Anytime someone is dehydrated, one of the symptoms is that they are craving fluid, especially water, right? And one of the things that causes or triggers this feeling of thirst as a way to let you know that you're dehydrated is an imbalance of your electrolytes. Think about, that's why they have Gatorade and something like Pedialyte to not only rehydrate you with fluid, but also to restore your electrolyte balance. Well, toxic patriarchy is a social imbalance where there is too much masculine energy in the midst, and it also has its symptoms. Much like being dehydrated has a symptom of thirst, toxic patriarchy has a symptom of economic decline. And for my naysayers, there is an index called the United Nations Human Development Index, or the UNHDI, which shows via data exactly what I am saying here today. When you see how each nation ranks, you will notice that the more prosperous nations, where the people are more educated, they live longer, they have better access to healthcare, and so forth, are nations that value women's rights. Whereas the least prosperous nations, where you find illiterate people being unalived by preventable illnesses, those are staunch patriarchies. So I am not coming from the angle of an opinion that has been pulled out of thin air. I'm coming from the angle of observations that are driven by data. Another telltale sign involves difficulty in accessing water. And this is a universal symptom that can be observed from developing nations where they are still going to rivers to fetch water, also, as well as in developed nations where poor people struggle to pay their bills. Just like 1 + 1 = 2, no matter where I am on earth or no matter where I am in the universe, well, in toxic patriarchy, one of its symptoms beyond economic decline is also difficulty accessing water. This is because patriarchy tends to value investing into defense and weaponry over investing into infrastructure and services for its citizens. Going back to the economic side of what I was saying earlier, patriarchy relies on women's resources in order to subsidize the economic shortages that it causes. This is why a few days ago, again on one of West 4B Movement's lives, I was explaining particularly to women to stop giving a pick-me money. Tell her to go and ask her husband. Because listen, think about it. They're up here telling us all this stuff. You know, he's supposed to be the man of the house, right? He's supposed to be the leader, the alpha, the omega, the king, the emperor, the conqueror. And this is a man's world, right? So why the heck is he mismanaging so poorly that his trad wife or his pick-me baby mama, because they're basically one and the same, those women have to go and tiptoe behind his back and his ego and beg you, the antithesis of patriarchy. They're coming to beg you for a financial boost. That's why I say, to stop giving them money. If what they believe is supposed to be true, just like 1 + 1 = 2, that's true no matter where I go in the universe. If what they believe is supposed to be true, then it should work out no matter what. Think about it. 1 + 1 = 2, 2 + 2 = 4, right? No matter what. So if what they believe is supposed to be true, then it should work out too, no matter what. And if it is not true, and trust me when I say it's not, then they would have to confront the reality as is, whether they like it or not. You see, you have been conditioned to be generous through social norms, and religion also played a role in that, especially as women. But what you have not realized is that your conditioning serves an economic purpose, and that is to subsidize the patriarchy. Without your subsidy, it fails. This subsidy comes in the form of your financial resources, as well as your uncompensated voluntary labor. Your pick-me relative is just a symptom of a bigger issue. You pay taxes, and if you earn more money, then you are paying more taxes. Think about it. Meanwhile, the Dusty uses the intentional neglect of his family to put the pick-me in a state of desperation where she's begging for assistance. We see it all the time when this assistance is provided by taxpayer funding. And sweetheart, in case you didn't know it, I'm here to tell you that you are being pimped by proxy. And I know that there is a global angle to this, trust me. But I want to make it more close to home so that you can understand what's happening no matter the angle. You see, in a balanced society, there are positives to balanced feminine and balanced masculine energy when each is cooperative with one another. For instance, feminine energy is associated with the economy. It is associated with being organized and orderly, with deep investments that take a long time to pay out, such as education or doing things to strengthen the health, which in terms lengthens the lifespan. It is also associated with cultivation, be it culture, be it agriculture, be it art, be it another life, such as pregnancy. Masculine energy, when it is balanced, is associated with technological advancements, with breakthroughs. And part of the reason why is because the masculine energy favors risk taking. So it is part of their makeup to push boundaries in order to discover new frontiers. It's not a coincidence that Apple and Microsoft were founded after Steve Jobs and Bill Gates were tinkering around in their garages. However, currently we are living in what it is like when the masculine is out of balance and is misapplying his energy in ways that are harmful to all of us. One of the things that patriarchy, being an imbalanced masculine, did was to push the boundaries of women into a dysfunctional frontier that favors maintaining the masculine imbalance. They know they cannot come directly to you, for instance, and tell you that you are basically a slave and any of your labor and your earnings are subjected to being unfairly confiscated from you in favor of maintaining them in power. So, what they do is give you mental conditioning that will have you believing that you are cultivating a better society through your sacrificial generosity. Then they rely on the profits of your sacrificial generosity to offset the deficits that patriarchy often causes. So, for instance, you watch the kids knowing that they cannot afford a babysitter, that they cannot afford daycare. You help to pay rent to keep them out of the streets. You help to keep the electricity on so that they don't freeze in the winter or end up having a heat stroke in case you happen to reside in one of the states where the temperatures can soar up into the triple digits. Your heart is indeed in the right place. But if patriarchy was supposed to work, then why do they need your resources every now and again? Listen, stop giving them your time or your money. Let the floor drop. Let the crap hit the fan. Allow them to see the truth in the way that they choose to make decisions. That way, when they find themselves turning to the same religious leaders and politicians and other factions that have them to believe that being brutal with you and discounting your input is the definition of masculinity, they have to go back to them and figure out what to do now. Let them use their version of imbalanced masculinity upon one another by removing your presence. You are feminine. You are the order. You are the organizer. If you're not happy or if you're not around, there is no long-term planning. There is no deep investment. There is a lack of cultivation or a disruption to the cultivation that is in existence. A balanced masculine appreciates what the feminine has to offer. When he's imbalanced, there's no depth to his depravity and no limit to his destruction. Case in point, for instance, let's go over into Europe, where in places like Spain, Greece, and Italy, they have olive trees that are literally hundreds of years old, and they're being chopped down by criminals.
Farmers in the Mediterranean have spent generations protecting their olive groves from severe weather, pests, and wild animals. Now they're battling a new problem: thieves armed with chainsaws. Olive oil prices have skyrocketed after 2 years of drought in the region's decimated harvests. Industry prices for extra virgin olive oil have nearly tripled since 2019 to about $4.35 per pound. Greek consumers that were paying $9 for a liter of extra virgin olive oil last year, well, they are now paying around $15. And the bad guys, they want a piece of the action. In Greece, Spain, and Italy, where groves were once flush with juicy olives, thieves are now taking chainsaws to the branches with the most olives, or in some cases, the entire tree. Farmers in Greece are asking for a defunct rural police division to be reinstated, and a Spanish company developed tracking, that looks like olives. For now, growers are left to patrol their own fields at night to protect their land, their olives, and their livelihood. And just so you know, an olive tree can take 4 to 5 years to recover after its branches have been cut.
Can you imagine that there are generations of families that can trace their lineage to the land where these olive trees are located, and they have stories about their ancient relatives based on this cultivation? Right now, olive oil prices have soared, and thieves are using chainsaws to cut down the trees so that they can extract as much oil as possible. Most olive trees can live up to 500 years. Some have been found to be 1,500 years old. The average woman, being feminine, would never dream of cutting down something that has been around for centuries. Think about it. We would have set up tourism in the region. We would have invited scientists to help figure out how to make this region thrive despite climate change. We would have applied for it to be classified as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. You know, that deep investment that pays out after a long period of time. That's how the feminine normally thinks. However, thieves who are mostly men in this instance, and they are displaying imbalanced masculine or out of balance masculine energy. They think nothing of cutting down these trees along with it and all of its lucrative opportunities. And the imbalanced masculine has the same approach to human life. They think nothing of cutting it down, whereas a balanced masculine is protective by comparison. You see, here's another situation where two men were caught destroying ancient rock formations here in the United States at Lake Mead that are millions of years old. These rock formations have been here for millions of years, and they decided on that day to just knock them over.
A little girl screams as two men push chunks of red stone off the edge of a formation at the federally protected site.
It takes millions of years for these rock formations to form, and then you get a few idiots out there that are destroying all that work of nature. It's pretty appalling. It's kind of disgusting.
It happened Sunday evening at 5:45 p.m. at Redstone Dunes, one of the most popular hiking trails at Lake Mead.
Why would you even do something like this?
This is what the masculine looks like when he's out of balance. And many of us are very aware of the violent economic destruction that is typical within Blackistan. In many of these destructive events, there is a woman who is in the background, who is also imbalanced in her feminine energy because she condones it. That is your pick-me. That is your trad wife, who conveniently, by the way, forgets to mention her husband's outside babies. Back to what I was saying earlier and how this pertains to you. The generous person who is believing that you are making a positive difference when you give your hard-earned resources to your pick-me relatives. Listen, you're not making a difference. Not the type that you think you are. What you're actually doing is contributing to a cycle of poverty, violence, and exploitation. You're helping to keep the same toxic patriarchy established that has voted to strip you of your rights to bodily autonomy, where the feminine is devalued. You know, imbalance under these circumstances becomes apparent, and the symptoms include, for instance, on a personal level, diminished communication. This is when you hear them say, "You talk too much." And then when you ask them about what was said that began to escalate them, they can't tell you what you said, but they begin to describe how, the woman behaved according to their understanding. But they can't describe the topic that was being discussed, which, in my humble opinion, a lot of these guys are on the spectrum and are undiagnosed, to be honest with you. And then also some of the other stuff you see that are apparent of the imbalance, such as the lack of long-term planning, the cultivation of deep investments that pay out over a long period of time, such as the investment in education, investment in health, investment in real estate is another one. It's not a coincidence that there are more single women that are homeowners in this country than single men. Because again, there we go again with that long range planning, that long range, thought process. And you'll also see a lack of organization, meaning that it's chaotic, which is why from one moment to the next, they don't know what they're going to do. They live day to day. And they also engage into high risk activities, such as stuff that's illegal, physically harmful, financially harmful. Joblessness is a form of financial harm, you know. And when they do all of this, the end product is deficits. And this is every single time. This is why the US is dealing with a nearly $36 trillion deficit as we speak. And we're supposed to be the richest nation on the planet. This is what happens when the fate of the society rests in the hands of an out of balance masculinity, which is patriarchy. No different than what happens when the human body is in a state of imbalance. It may not be apparent at first, but eventually it reaches its breaking point. That is what is happening when your pick me relative calls you and asks you to help them to pay their rent. But what they're really asking you to do is to subsidize toxic patriarchy, the same toxic patriarchy they have enabled. Listen, tell her to go and ask her husband. Go and ask him. See, what you got to do is let them hit rock bottom and see the same truth that the rest of us have already accepted. Additionally, you are exposing him for who he really is. Toxic males are not stupid. They know when they've picked a pick-me who has relatives like you. They are known to date women in order to become closer to what it is that they want or even who they really want. See, by pulling back your resources, you're helping him to reach his frontier or his rock bottom, and accepting that his behaviors will eventually lead him into abject poverty. And you're also helping her to see what you already know, that he ain't ish. And hopefully her feminine instinct will kick in. She will get fed up and reject him. You can have that trifling Pookie sounding like R. Kelly. What was that song? When a woman's fed up, how it go? I'm standing here looking in the mirror, saying dang to myself. I should have known the day would come that she would find somebody else. And all the things I took her through. Shoot, I shouldn't have lasted this long. Now I'm on the telephone, calling Tyrone. And how I go? Cause when a woman's fed up, no matter how you bad, no, he man crying in the background. It ain't nothing you could do about it. And then he'd be like, nothing you could do about it. Trying to say it real soft. It's like running out of love. And it's too late to talk about it. And then he man cries. La da 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 da. La la da da da. Oh, see, you can help that alone. You can help that alone. Ain't nothing wrong with him seeing the truth for what it is in her too.
I think you better call Tyrone. Call him and tell him, come on, help you get your shit. Come on. You need to call Tyrone. Call him and tell him I said, come on.
They both need to see it. So see, by focusing your energy on living your best life, you can help others, including Dusties and Pygmies and, Pookies, whatever. You can help them to accept the same reality that you see and vote in favor of government programs that will subsidize their poverty instead of what they have been doing, which is relying on your generosity to stay afloat, and then using some of those funds to send super chats to support different social media platforms that tear down your image. The Dusties, as well as the US government, if you really want to go there, can stop pimping your free time and your disposable income by proxy in order to subsidize their patriarchy. Just a little food for thought. The US has paid nearly $500 million more in expenses related to uninsured medical care than it would have cost to provide universal health care to everyone. To put it in plain terms, if everybody had universal health care, where you can go to the doctor and everything get treated from brain tumors to cancer, everything. It would have cost $500 million less to just insure everybody than what the U.S. just paid last year, I believe. Okay? And here's the study from Yale to prove it. In a previous video, I also showed via an economic analysis how California could have solved the homelessness crisis for at least half of the people who are living in those circumstances with the missing $20 billion in funding that was intended for that purpose. See, what your pick-me relatives and their dusty men need are government programs where they can sign up for the funding that is needed to not only supplement them, but to also hold them accountable. Okay? So instead of calling you up during your free time and pestering you, instead, they can contact licensed and trained professionals who are paid a salary with benefits and discuss their poverty circumstances with them. See, when you give money to them from your purse, they are not subjected to any formal system that requires accountability, and therefore they are not motivated to vote in favor of objectives that we want to see, such as universal health care, universal shelter, a basic income, and free education to the graduate level, stuff like free daycare and generous paid parental leave, just to name a few. We have more, way more than the capacity to make the U.S. in terms of benefits to its citizens appear like Finland, one of the happiest, or no, actually, it is the happiest nation in the world for the past 7 years. However, it is the pygmies and their dusty pookies who are using your free time and your disposable income, as well as supporting initiatives that rob us of our freedom. They are holding us all back from achieving a society that is on par with Finland. So by withholding your generosity and letting them hit rock bottom hard enough to crack open and break away their stubbornness from their minds, they too will begin to agree with the rest of us. Either way, we win. And trust me when I say that I travel this nation quite often, and everywhere is bad, from urban areas that tend to lean left to rural areas that tend to lean right. However, the rural areas in particular seem to be a bit worse off because of the impact of the lower amounts of formal education within the population, along with the lack of development, such as, something as basic as sidewalks. A lot of rural areas don't have sidewalks because now more and more of them cannot afford the cost associated with having cars. And I've seen more and more people walking on highways in dangerous conditions. I have seen plenty of rural men and women walking with grocery bags on highways with speed limits of 45, 55 miles per hour or even higher, and there are no sidewalks. They're walking to and from work. It won't be long also, going back to the urban areas, that within the tent cities, there are outbreaks of preventable diseases. And all of this harms the economy. See, your balanced femininity, along with saying no to the pygmy who is being used by her pookie to pimp you by proxy, that's the solution to all of these problems, honey. So tell them no. Tell them to go and ask their husbands, okay? And on that note, that's all I have to say for now. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and click on the notifications bell so that you'll know whenever I upload any new content. Take care until next time.
Crew intention, sharp as thorn. She's cutting through, the veil's worn. He's the charmer, speaks in riddles and rhyme. Dollar signs in his eyes under those street lights. No more sorrow, no more nickels and dimes. She's stepping out the shadows into the bright lights. She watched the tables, how they turn. Oh, his tail spin, but there's nothing to yearn. No more tricks up his sleeve to show. She's cashed out love, it's her time to grow. Clocking game, knows his play, off the kin, she pays, he takes slow. She's seeing through the tricks he throws. It's like a maze she's played, now she knows. Schemes on every angle, schemes on every angle, schemes on every angle. Pushing for truth, not just a fable.
I know a woman who's too generous. I know a woman who's too generous.
She tosses coins to empty promises. Her love is blind, but her mind is sharpened. Dropping dimes when he spews those sweet nothings. Learning the hard way, cost of loving. He's selling dreams wrapped up in lies, but she's counting the tears, not the butterflies. But she's now that life really came. The average and goes straight to not a way.
I know a woman who's too generous. I know a woman who's too generous.
She stops the flow, won't beg no more. Oh, sees the rules, here's a law. Her kin's been told, no more upon in his charades. Oh no, she cuts the strings, regains control. No scheme will make her stumble. No scheme will make her crumble. No scheme will make her crumble. No scheme will make her fall. Her eyes wide open, now she stands tall.